It's been so eye-opening for me, like, since I met you in the last 2 years. And I will be the first to admit that I haven't taken all this time since meeting you to just learn and learn and learn. Like, it's just kind of been like here and there. But um, I have changed how I feel about certain things on certain holidays that I didn't ever used to. Like, you just don't think about it, you know?
Tell me more.
Especially since you, well, you grow up, like as a kid and you're getting together for Thanksgiving and you just eat food and you talk about what you're thankful for. And so when you're like 5 and 6 and 7 and you do this every year, no, you're never just thinking about how that's not the same experience for everybody, and I don't know why. Like, I really can't tell you why I didn't spend more time thinking about it. And then when I met you, I certainly have, and it's been crazy to think like how uncomfortable that has to be for people. And I know we'll talk more about it as we
Yeah.
go through everything, but that
Yeah,
just
I
came to
mean,
my
really
mind
what you
when you
did, you
brought up the
watched an episode
fourth.
of Mythbusters, so that's great. Like like the mythology of Thanksgiving, like you have peeked now behind the curtain of that mythology and kind of been able to see like, oh, okay, here's the truth and here's, what we think we're celebrating. I love that.
Well, and just watching, so I got the password from my sister to get like full access to Rutherford Falls
Oh,
because I think I don't have the free. I only had the free version,
yeah.
which you could only get episode one. But like, it doesn't take very long. It's like 5 minutes into the first episode, and you're like, you can see like it's just right in your face, but you just don't get it until someone points it out to you. You know?
It is. And since we jumped into it, let me back up a second in case people don't know what we're talking about. Rutherford Falls is a TV show, 2 seasons, that appeared on NBC's Peacock streaming network. A show produced by Ed Helms, Mike Schur, and Sierra Teller Ornelas, who brought for the first time kind of a mainstream comedy and kind of that quirky, heartwarming style of The Office and The Good Place, um, but that showcased characters within a community that were a mainstream American community up against a fictional indigenous community in the reservation, and kind of how um, those currents, those cultural currents, play out in both, interpersonally and within the community. And of course, it's funny, but it also like presents, some truths in, some palatable ways.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
what was really remarkable about this show it um, when it came out was that this show had 50% of their writers' room were indigenous, and that was an intentional choice by the producers. That they really wanted to make sure that if this was going to be an indigenous storyline, that there was accurate representation, because that's one of the big things in TV and cinema for Native folks is that white people are always telling the story, and who knows if
Yep.
they're actually casting indigenous people. Sometimes it's some Italian dude, whatever, so to have that kind of agency over storytelling and to be able to on that sort of national platform, that was groundbreaking. And so my sister Jana Schmieding um, earned a spot as a writer on that show, and was part of their writers room as they were putting the script together. And then at the time that they needed to start casting the show, she was encouraged by the other writers and producers to audition. And of course, she and I both studied theater together at the University of Oregon. She went on to become a teacher in New York. She continued practicing stand up, sketch, improv on a really regular basis that whole time that she was teaching in New York for about 10 years. So people think a lot of times that when success happens, that it's just out of the blue, and it seems out of the blue for a lot of people. But the people for which that success happens, like that's been a grind for a
Yeah.
long time, and it finally blossomed, right? And that's the exact same for Jana. Everybody's like, yes, you're here, you're amazing, it's so great, where did you come from? And it's like, she's been here, she's been putting in the time like everybody else, you
Yeah,
know.
I'm sure she's been grinding away, and it's you're so right that everybody that has success has probably been grinding away in the background. Um
Yeah,
that's
I
so
think it's
cool.
very rare that somebody just has some. I think more so in our modern culture when people are just like into virality, you know, your random stuff might get you famous. But I think for the most part, you know, the people that are making it are the people that have been putting in the time, and like it's the practice.
I love that they decided to do at least 50% of the writers are indigenous. Cuz it just makes sense. Like, that's a cool choice too, because a lot of people watching the show probably wouldn't even know, and it's just like the the best voice for that to come through the actors would be from indigenous people, especially when it's like an indigenous cast member, or the like characters supposed to be indigenous and we're supposed to hear about their culture or their history. It's like, you're right, a lot of times in the past the story's not being told. It's being told by somebody that's probably white, because that's the majority of the people in the business that come from,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to hire somebody that they know. And so it's a systemic thing. And I'm glad that they chose not to do that. That's really cool. I've only seen the first episode, but I was literally laughing out loud, and you can tell, like, it feels different.
Yeah.
And um I thought the writing was awesome, and I don't know if your sister was able to like be a part of each episode or whatever. Like, it's hard to be like, is that who wrote that line, but it
Yeah.
just felt really good. So,
It sounded like they were having so much fun in the writers' room based on what I was hearing from her. Um, it's definitely like a collaborative process, but there are, you know, certain writers that are featured on certain episodes. Um, in season 2, she was a featured writer for episode 5. The name of that episode is Adirondack, and kind of the basis for that episode is that my sister's friend's character is being called in to essentially be a cultural consultant for a show
okay.
called Adirondack, which is a clown on a very popular current westerny show where white people are the storytellers for indigenous storylines. Anyway, uh, that
Well, you
she
could
just
say
got
what it
called out in
is.
the. I mean, Yellowstone. It's Yellowstone.
Okay,
It's a
I haven't
hardcore
seen
clown on Yellowstone.
I haven't seen
Um,
Yellowstone. I hear it's
I
supposed to
haven't
be
either, but
really, everyone loves it, but I haven't seen it, so
I
I
don't
can't.
need to see it. I'm sure it's like every other Western ever been made. Um, which I don't have anything against Westerns. But if I'm gonna watch a Western, really, I really would prefer to watch Adirondack. You'll see when you watch the show.
Okay.
It's just it's very self reflective of the industry, and you know of the underlying commentary. I feel is just very um, pointed, but also cheeky.
Okay.
I love that.